Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you are having an amazing day. We're taking a look here, of course, at Bitcoin, understanding the best practice and big picture here, of course, and what's going to happen today throughout the weekend. So we had a bit of a red day yesterday. It's kind of standard for a lot of the earnings reports for, Apple and a couple of other large tech industries. Okay, so they kind of decreased in overall value, and that provided a negative for Nasdaq initially. But now Nasdaq is bouncing back pretty strong here today, full on bullish engulfing candle. So we should be able to experience a good, nice, healthy continuation throughout the weekend here for Bitcoin, but also some altcoins too, because we can see Bitcoin dominance is starting to take a hit. Okay, so this is actually very positive in a sense, getting all that profits from Bitcoin and the price of Bitcoin staying relatively the same, and then other altcoins increasing in value. In fact, I got my eyes on Solana and BNB. There's a handful of other ones that I'm interested in pursuing, but just waiting for the right entry here. That being said, though, Bitcoin is looking fairly decent, all things considered, considering the circumstances here. Okay, so if you're new to the channel, I'm not a financial advisor. I love teaching people to trade. I don't know if you've noticed that by now if you have been watching the channel, but thank you again so much for all the support to my current community members as well. You guys are amazing. Also, speaking of amazing, take a look at some of these gains here. Of course, got some nice Bitget gains here from Philly. Big surprise. He's a little whale on our team here, and he's also draining the liquidity over there on KuCoin too. So, great job. Keep up the good work, guys. I mean, it's just fantastic to be able to see all this here. I mean, Zach is also still killing it, and we got so many amazing traders in our community that I'm just super happy to be part of that. So thank you so much again for being part of that, and also thanks for taking place in this competition here, our $10,000 prize pool. It's basically a monthly competition we're going to be having, where it just allows for you to essentially be able to benefit from a large amount of prize pool money. There's $10,000 in there. There is essentially $1,500 for trading volume, and of course trading profit and loss. So that's the first, second, and third tier. Then somewhere in the range of the top 4 members here that have 3 million volume or higher all get an easy $1,000 as well. So it's a pretty cool little situation. We run that monthly. If you use the link in the description below to register, obviously if you're in the United States, make sure you select other for country. But regardless of that fact, when you register through that link, you are provided with that benefit. And if you already have registered through Bitget and you want to switch over and make sure you benefit from this prize pool, then go ahead and just message me direct and I'll be able to get you added there. Okay. All right, so here's where we're at with Bitcoin. Pretty straightforward in the simple sense that yesterday was a red day as we kind of expected. We wanted a retest of 20,500. We definitely got that. It came down, wicked all the way down to 20,000, almost even. Okay, so that's not a bad thing to be able to see that. I like that it came down that low. Honestly, that 19,800 range is a good support. So I'm confident that that should hold even if the price were to come down again today or tomorrow. The likelihood of that happening is fairly low though, just based on the way that things are shaping up here with the traditional market's doing well today, dollar index being kind of flat, if you will, and just generally speaking, things are looking pretty good in the overall sense of regular markets. And that's always a positive sign, and that kind of helps people feel more confident in their decision to invest in Bitcoin. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this here. Let's take a look at some standard stuff and work our way down. So let's go back to the simple moving averages. Once again, we're above the 50 and the 20. That's super important. The 200 is trailing behind. It's up here, right here at about 24,900 now. So we don't got to worry about that for a while, but that would be nice to be above that. We do have the inevitability of a golden cross here with the likelihood of the 50 pushing up through the 200, and that'll spike the price. And that should happen sometime in the month of November or December, okay? Because we're kind of on the horizon there for that to be very, very an occurrence in the relative near future, okay? So that's good news there in the big picture, which does kind of imply that Bitcoin doing well, going sideways when the market was going down. To me, it implies that we've hit our bottom. That's just kind of my thoughts and my speculation. Sure, we could go lower, and of course we want to expect that, but I don't feel like it's going to happen much longer. It should have happened by now if it had. Right? Down below, if we take a look at the RSI, though, we're still between 70 and 50 on the RSI. This is perfect because there's more room for a leg up. As I mentioned before, closer to 50 on the RSI, the better, so we can get that strong bounce. We'll look for that as well in the 4-hour and see if we got something like that. MACD is still converging as well on the daily, so we haven't lost that upwards momentum yet. So all in all, the daily still looks favorable. Okay, so again, a red day yesterday isn't the end of the world. It's very standard because again, we came up to a 9 on TD sequential. We became overexhausted. What do you know? We came down to an 8 and we're bouncing. So this is a pretty common occurrence in trading when you see the price hit an extreme high and then an extreme low, and then it continues up. So what we're looking for, our next high to be to close above 20. I would say 21,000 will be fantastic. We get a closure above 21,000 this weekend. I think it's go time in a general sense. Now, again, trading into a weekend is a different story altogether. But on the same accord, if we are transitioning higher, we hit our exhausted state to the upside and the downside. That implies that our most recent low is a higher low. That is a very, very good sign. Okay. So again, I had this trend line here drawn up yesterday based on the 20-day SIP moving average. It does look like it wants to work its way up still, but we're going to go and stretch this out a little bit further to go ahead and run concurrent with the current trend and kind of see what that looks like. And we're averaging ourselves right between the 20 and the 50. That's a positive sign. I like to see that. Again, still higher lows with the potential of higher highs. Okay. So again, pretty nice little forecast if you ask me. I like this, the way that it looks. And taking a look here, oh, look at that. That is beautiful. 50 on the RSI, working like a charm, bouncing off the overextension there to the downside and continuing higher. Okay, so that really just implies that we have more likelihood of further upside than downside. You can see the bears are losing control too, and that's mostly positive. So the 4-hour and the daily are both looking very, very good. At least, again, that's just my initial opinion here based on what we see. Let's see what the 1 hour looks like too, because we want to kind of identify and see if this is a healthy continuation. We have a nice strong opening to the day. That's roughly when the markets had opened 3 hours ago. So it's looking fantastic there. Take a look at TD sequential. We did hit, again, this 9 on TD sequential. Tried to wick down a little bit further, continue to bounce, and we're at a 6 right now. So hypothetically, we got about 4 more hours of continuation to the upside before we might see a next pullback. And if we were to have another pullback and it comes back down, that's okay as long as it's a higher low than the most recent. Okay, that's the important thing. We want to keep establishing higher lows because lower lows are a sign of reversal. I'm not super concerned with lower highs. That's not a big deal to me. Higher lows is the most important when you're looking for a trend reversal from the upside, from the downside to the upside. Okay, so those are things that I like to look for, and so far we're exuding that, which does imply very positive. And the great thing about this too is Bitcoin dominance is coming down. So a lot of the volume and the profits are being taken from Bitcoin. The price isn't plunging, and then we also have other alts starting to surge. This is a very, very good thing. That's exactly what we want to look for in the overall sense of things. So to me, Bitcoin looks very healthy going into the weekend here with a stronger probability of an upside than a downside just based on that sentiment alone. Okay, so let's take a quick look at the cloud and kind of see where we're at. If we can confirm, we are maintaining within the cloud, which is good. We're still holding above the lower lead. We also are seeing that the conversion line is trying to break above the baseline, but hasn't yet. Just implies that we don't have enough momentum to the upside just yet. We're only 4 hours into this continuation. And then, of course, the lagging span is intersecting the price action. So I would say, generally speaking here, we're not in the clear just yet, but we're looking pretty good. You can see a nice consolidation effort right here at the previous support level, 20,500. I'm rounding down or up a little bit because it is technically 20,450, but generally speaking, that area you can see some resiliency there in both directions. So it needs to average itself out there for a while, continue higher. I think if we get a close today at 20,500 or higher, we're going to be in really, really good shape for the weekend. So I'm going to take a look at some alts here today and probably likely send out some signals based on the overall sense of the way things are going right now. I do feel confident in Bitcoin being able to maintain its price point and not dropping like a rock. Again, we want to keep and pay attention to, keep in mind that traditional markets are doing well. If they do take a hit, Bitcoin will also start losing its dominance even further and essentially continue, maybe potentially down a little bit further. I would say 20,000 though is probably the likely bottom for Bitcoin just based on what I see here so far. So all in all, I think we're looking pretty darn good. Absolutely looking nice. So I think mostly green lights here for Bitcoin. I'm not saying you want to just take a bunch of crazy long leverage positions. You want to probably have some pretty tight profit targets because there's no doubt that Bitcoin, while it could do well, this is a weekend we're going into, and weekends are always, I would say, just generally unfavorable as far as volatility is concerned, and it's really interesting the way that works. So probably just kind of draw dead. But if Bitcoin dominance continues to recede, then obviously the altcoins are going to start to increase. And we're seeing that already across the board right now here as well. Okay, so a lot of good green across the board, and that is nice that Bitcoin's maintaining its price action while losing its dominance. And that is a positive sign. Okay. All right, so that cycle is looking pretty good. All in all, I like what I see here so far. Hopefully that made sense to you guys. And obviously, if you want to become a better trader and be part of my amazing community, CryptoCache.tech is the website. Link in the description below. We have well over 200 active day traders, swing traders right now, and it's a phenomenal experience. So be sure to check that out. One last favor before you go, if you don't mind, follow me on social media. Trying to build up that presence there. I try to send out updates as frequent as possible so you can stay abreast. And eventually that's going to be a pretty consistent thing if you want to stay familiarized with everything as well. I'll try to be able to give at least every few days a good solid Bitcoin update so you can kind of stay abreast. So check that out in your own time. All this stuff's in the link in the description below. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks again for your time. We'll see you in the next one.